Yes, everybody, welcome back to the Overwatch Atlantic Showdown Qualifiers Week 4, and we're up to game number 2 already now.
Yep.
Jason here is with me, of course. I'm Uber, if this is the first time. G'day. I did speak to a few people in the chat before as well, explaining that some of those top teams or high-seeded teams would have a first-round bye, and we would be jumping with them later on. And OWKings is one of those teams, still not quite having qualified for the regionals, Jason. Yep. This is their last chance.
This is their 4th and final chance. 4 weeks straight of them playing this one and just kind of coming up a little bit too short when it counted. But I don't have doubts in them at all when it comes to actually getting through in this time. And then they still have a couple of days left to prepare for the regional finals, which will be coming up next week on August 1st and 2nd for EU, 3rd and 4th for NA. But now PPT Wolves need to, or Wolfpack, sorry, need to kind of come together here if they want to have a chance. Yeah, this is going to be a much different team than what they just played against. Yeah, we definitely did see some flunkage there in that first game. Yeah.
Wasn't quite what we would have liked to see there as well. But to be fair, good defense put up by Wolfpack. We are going to see Dorado yet again here as well. This is now obviously the next round. So Dorado is the compulsory starting map, it will be. So we'll jump in here and see what happens. Of course, OWKings, like we've said, have struggled a little bit to really qualify through. They've got Clown added into their team, which I find really interesting because back in the ET days, Clown and Olba didn't really see eye to eye at all. They weren't really they didn't really get on well. They're often on other teams and stuff like that, but both were very, very, very good players in their own rights. I remember today I actually came across a frag movie of Clown and Winghaven just wrecking people. So, yeah, he's got a pedigree. There's no doubt about it. I'll have to see how he fits in, of course, as the designated Lucio player here.
Filling in for Meecher, who's now on a team with Fainless, who recently got pushed off of FaZe clan. And they're going to get a team called Evokes. With
Evokes, yeah.
Actually, they're in the bottom half of the bracket, where they potentially could meet up against We United in, I think, the round of 16 or quarterfinals, one of those two. That far down, though. But either way, this is our game for now. And then we're going to go on to play in the next round to potentially go up against Team Endpoint or Slightly Stale Bread. It's a little bit sad Slightly Stale Bread isn't actually a French team. But don't really recognize any people on their team. So there's a little bit of pressure here on all these teams to really perform when the time matters.
Okay, so obviously in terms of composition here as well, with a little bit of interest, I note that the Roadhog's still being picked up here for Wolfpack. I think he's a bit more easily punished nowadays with Zenyatta being so prevalent, but that is going to be the pick here for Chills. They're going to be bringing in the McCree, no surprise, and a Reaper to round out some of their damage here, Jason. But OWKings now going to be pushing out as well. We expect these guys to put up a very strong performance. Adatonian, I do enjoy seeing him on the Zai here as well. I think it's a great pick. Yeah,
triple tank setup for the attack at OWKings. Not like triple support that we saw out of Selfless for North America, and obviously with Ana being allowed, but not even being played so far in this entire tournament. I don't know if triple support will really work out too well if teams are quick to adapt. But so far, OWKings haven't been halted just yet. Looking to drop in towards the underpass. Destro and Co are going to back away and concede some ground until they're ready to fight.
Right, there'll need to be a fight fairly soon here, but Worsty's going to be caught out from the rest of his team. He's getting jumped on by Rib and has to retreat. He does get a Harmony Orb at least, and then he can turn his sights towards Olba, I think, but Rib eventually is going to come back onto him and jump on his face, but there's likely getting involved out towards the side as well. Zarya shields being used, keeping OWKings quite durable heading into this, only losing a couple as Olba does go ham. Gets himself a couple of kills on that McCree.
Yeah, if they have basically 3 supports and 2 DPS, or 3 DPS, I guess you can count. Adatonian, he basically counts as an entirety of a support because of the shields he can give, and also the entirety of a DPS once he gets some charges going. Yeah. You can already see Olba pushing through, realizing he's very confident and be able to hold PPT Wolfpack back, who isn't actually playing on the high ground. With the lack of Fars, I'm surprised to see this.
So let's see what Adatonian can do here on this Zarya. Often considered to be the Quake player's best friend, because obviously it's sort of like a lightning gun and a rocket launcher put together. Hugely strong right now, really. And I think that's going to be a perennial thing as well until she sort of gets changed in any sort of significant way. So we are going to see a setup here for Wolfpack up on the top side. This is fairly standard now. Again, still playing with this Roadhog coming forward, trying to put a bit of extra damage down now. Ultimates, just the Death Blossom to work with for Destino here if they want to make a fight happen. Yeah, and
Olba's going to have Deadeye. Twitty does have Earth Shatter. That's going to be Rib running straight through into the team, hiding behind his own shield as well, just to provide a little bit of extra comfort. He has his transition to Primal Rage. Vostvi's going to go down to the Deadeye of Olba. And even Additonian's about to have his Graviton Surge out. This is where it gets really dangerous for PPT Wolfpack. You cannot let a team snowball on you.
A little bit late to go for the Soundberry here now, given they were already lost that McCree, but let's see if it's enough to keep them alive. Roofy also was using that Transcendence to keep his team up and at it, but still all but too strong here from the backside, completely uncontested. Starts off with a fantastic angle for a Deadeye off towards the side of the courtyard, and then walks into this fight literally unchallenged.
Yeah, this is the power of like triple tank, because you can't get really past them because tanks can do so much damage. And then you have Oba not being touched at all towards the back, getting a lot of free damage in with not being punished for the most part. Graviton Surge is up. And this potentially could be the final push here for Overwatch Kings because of the combo that they're going to have.
And there's no reason that Overwatch Kings slow down now as well. It's a nice little charge landed there by Twitty. You can see if he's going to try and follow things up there, up in the top corner. Now the rest of his team can join. They can work the stairwell, but there are a lot of enemy players here. So Twitty has to be a little bit careful. He does have the backup of Additonian though as well. And there's nothing really that Wolfpack can do but just give ground and back away.
Well, Air Shatter hits nothing. The charge is going to land though, and shields will fall. The payload is still moving across. As you see Twitty picking up a kill, likely Rib all pairing in. And with PPT Wolfpack, I'm really interested to see how many kills they have total across the entire team. Because I almost guarantee it's not very high.
No, they really have struggled. The best fights, I think, for PPT Wolfpack have been maybe a couple kills at max. Now, Olba, he's ready for the Deadeye as well. A good way to catch out of Reinhardt. You see, he can't really protect his team right now. And there it is. It's the three-man Deadeye. Nicely done by Olba there. And the follow-up is good. Chills is going to fall there to Twitty. And even a Transcendence being used for nothing, but trying to get some extra time. Roofy is all on his own here. He may be zipping around like a race car, but he will fall flat on his face in a few moments. And that is Overwatch Kings showing that they're not taking any prisoners today, Jason.
Yeah, 3 minutes and 28 seconds. That's one of the fastest, if not the fastest time I've ever seen on Dorado. And I legitimately don't think they're even held up for more than 5 seconds. Actually have the payload contested for more than 5 seconds there. That was probably almost as fast as you can possibly go in the map in total.
Yep. I feel
pretty
like
ridiculous.
I feel like none of these fights happen for Overwatch Kings without the payload actually not being moving at any stage, or at least someone on it. 3 minutes and 30 seconds there as well, so that's not long at all. To see what Wolfpack can do about it, really. I mean, they get held once. I want to see if they get held once before the first checkpoint. It's donezo. There's no real way to come about it.
Yeah, it's true. And now Overwatch Kings, like, they have to basically defend. They don't even have to worry about holding him on the first point or even hold him towards the last. As long as they just keep a man tricking on the payload as long as they can, they're going to hold them back enough. PPT Wolfpack have to maybe look into, I'd say, the next map to have a chance, because that time is practically unbeatable. No,
and you almost have to, just look ahead now as well. Maybe consider that this is a lost one. Think about your map pick as well coming up. There are a couple of interesting maps in the rotation. I think Volskaya and Hanamura are both in the rotation this week as well. Yep. So if you do want to catch an enemy team by surprise, pull a bit of a Creation Esports, then you can consider that.
Yeah, you can. Just whether or not they're going to go for it. Considering they lost against, well, I was thinking about Sons of Flunkiness, how they lost the first map of King's Row and then went into Dorado after, which is another payload map after it was so dominating for PPT Wolfpack. I wonder if the Wolfpack are going to be a little bit smarter about this in their next choice, assuming they do lose this map. There's still a chance they can win it. Very, very slim, like less than 1%. But it is possible. Yeah,
I think at this stage, for Overwatch Kings, it's not even anything ridiculously tactical. I like their setups, though, as well. Yes, Roadhog is absent from their lineup, and I think that's the correct decision here as well on both sides of the map. I think he has some lovely one-shot potential, but it's so conditional, and it so much comes down to execution. If you've got a team that knows how to focus you or use that Zenyatta Discord Orb, you're going to get crunched.
No, payload's moving for now. Overwatch Kings playing a pretty standard game. No real reason for them to contest right off the bat. Clown just going to back away with his team, get in the right position to hold on the front. And this is the first big challenge out of PPT Wolfpack. Can they penetrate this defense that Overwatch Kings are going to put up here?
So purposely, of course, Overwatch Kings have backed up a little bit here as well. They want that payload just to get past the underpass before they start off. They do want to try and generate some ultimates there, but Rib actually gets picked off by Chills there. This might be the starter's gun to start this fight off, and you can see how far forward Twitty is. Olba purposely staying back, knowing that he can use the increased range of McCree recently to great effect there as well. You can see we can see a Reaper right in towards the back line, so Twitty can't quite connect that charge here. They are falling Overwatch Kings, but they are taking their sweet time in doing so.
Yeah, Chills did kill quite a few people, actually. Now Tonian is eventually going to fall on top of the payload here. So PPT Wolfpack are going to actually capture this next checkpoint. They're off to a strong start. It's been, well, basically a third of their time already being used just to get the first checkpoint. And then they can just consistently transition this into push after push after push while not being halted. But this is the advantage to attacking first at Overwatch Kings. You can put like a Diva, put a Reaper, put a Tracer on the payload, and just stall for like 3-4 seconds extra of time, because you know every second you add on to this makes it extremely difficult for PPT Wolfpack to even beat your time.
And that's exactly why Rib, instead of waiting for the rest of his team, went into this fight and tried to pick off Roofy on their Zenyatta, because you could stagger the spawn slightly for Wolfpack. That would mean they'd take time to get all ready. But here we go, Deadeye coming out from Olba. Yeah, maybe maximum 1 kill would have been there, but there's a lot of terrain that enables people to keep out of line of sight here, so Olba just has to use it as a zoning and a delaying aspect. Now Desno coming in with a Dragon Blade, but stunned out, knocked back instantly. Twitty does get the final blow on him. Chills, not really sure why he's caught out there a little bit, goes forward, was hoping maybe that he could have worked along with that Genji, but no dice.
Yeah, I do. That's what they were going for, and Olba smartly backs away from the Deadeye out of Verstfi. Using one of his own though, picks up 2 kills. The Transcendent's going to do absolutely nothing to help out with that ultimate. Chills will pop the Death Blossom, but now we're 2 minutes and 10 seconds in. That means they have 1 minute and 10 seconds left to finish off this entire map here, and they're not really being held. I think this is actually pretty damn good at a PPT Wolfpack. However, I do think Overwatch Kings are playing a little bit more relaxed, realizing that the time for them to beat is just so insurmountable. You
also play very differently when you're trying to, like, between holding a team completely and trying to slow them up as well. I think Overwatch Kings are more than happy just to do the latter here, and that might we might cause things like this, right? Like people dive into the back line. There is a sound barrier, though, at least on Rib now as he comes forward, trying to get a little bit of aggressive. Worst feet falls, and so does Murky, and that's pretty much exactly what the Doctor ordered if you're Overwatch Kings. Crucial seconds being bought. Rib's ultimate is fantastic for wasting time and creating space, and even picks off Roofy there as well with a swing of the fist.
Yep, and now there's no way they can win. We're 3 minutes in, 28 seconds left to go. It's literally impossible for them to finish off this map. And PPT Wolfpack have to look towards the next. What they want to go for, we've got King's Row, Volskaya, Lijiang Tower, Hanamura, and Route 66. Definitely some maps that can catch Overwatch Kings off guard. Well, we'll see what they're going to go for. You can probably just tell them GG now, just so they know. There's really no point continuing anymore.
Alright, we'll let them play this fight. At least they don't get distracted. We'll let them know. They should also know as well. Most players do at least keep some sort of timekeeping method there as well. But here comes the Deadeye as well out of Olba, just to add insult to injury. Eru is not dropping his shield for anyone, but unfortunately he has no choice, and that will be the GG coming out. There is no time, unfortunately, for the Wolfpack guys to get it done. They know it, so do we. And we're moving on to a next map.
Yeah, so we'll be heading back to the lobby in a second here, while we do kick things off, or at least get ready for our next map once the teams have chosen. I think Eru has the lobby lead, if you want to tell them to send it back to lobby, because they're continuing to play, but there's no reason, obviously, if you physically cannot win anymore. But Mitch, so, not a bad showing, I guess we can say, to PPT Wolfpack, but at the same time, I feel like Overwatch Kings, like you were saying, playing a little bit more uncaring with that half, because they could afford to play a different style. Yeah. To just literally delay the payload and not try to go for a hold.
I would say they expended most of the effort they really had to in that first round. They could play a bit more nonchalant, I suppose. And a lot of the time you did see individual heroes diving back lines to try and take out, I don't know, a Zenyatta or something that might be crucial, because most of the time if a team's being sensible, they're going to have to wait for them to reinforce. There's no point pushing out with 5 people, especially if the payload's in a highly contestable area. For example, that church where you actually can't get close to the payload without a Reinhardt shield protecting you from the damage coming from the rooftops and such. So you kind of really have to wait for everyone there as well. So just one pickoff can be as good as a one-team fight in some situations when you already know how long you have to hold out for.
Okay, you know, to ask them what the map is. But apparently in the options, they turned off enemy health bars. Okay. But they already know to fix it. They already know. Yeah, it's like they said in chat. But yeah, so Clown, the newest addition to the team, not doing too bad. Meacher, I guess, getting replaced by him. Yep. They weren't, I think, really challenged, so it's hard to kind of gauge how they are as a team right now. But I guess maybe the real question is there going to be a team that will potentially challenge them? We've got free agents in the round of 64. We've got Redskin in the round of 64. Team Endpoint, which is supposedly supposed to be pretty decent. I think eventually in this bracket they will get challenged, but I don't think this is the game.
For those, I'm pretty sure this is true, by the way. For those that ever did follow Call of Duty 4, especially in the later period, Endpoint's captain, or one of their key players, is Fantasy, actually, who was one of the most intelligent SMG players in the UK scene, and then actually switched to playing Sniper later on as well. So he was definitely a very well-known professional COD 4 player at the time, very clever. And he was, the best part about it was he was very good at explaining himself. So he does have a lot of content, stuff like that. So we'll see if, I'm pretty sure that actually is him. And we'll see how that transition over towards Overwatch is going. Because I know actually Mark, or Fantasy, played a lot of CS as well. There wasn't just a big gap between COD 4 and Overwatch as there is for some games, for some people in some games. But anyway, we are pretty much ready to go. We just need to see teams switched around on sides. Route 66 is the map choice for Wolfpack here.
I just want to get this game going.
They changed sides first.
They already did. They
Already?
wanted to change to attack.
Right.
So I just want to get the game going because there's still a lot of games to come up, and I want to see how Overwatch Kings are going to do. Not to count out PPT Wolfpack, but I want to see how they're going to do later on in the bracket.
Given the seedings of a lot of the top teams in this tournament, it's unlikely that they'll have to play each other at all today. I think the seeds 1 through 4 are teams that I generally expect to go through, and they all sort of have their own sides of the bracket to themselves in terms of they're not being challenged by any known, strong competitors. We've got some interesting teams in, like Other Team and such like that, which I think have some potential, but formed maybe a little bit too recently here to be shoo-ins, I guess, for qualification.
And to be fair, like you're saying, we're not going to see most of these top teams because there's already been 12 teams that have qualified through. So the chance of actually seeing, the likes of Reunited in here, it's impossible. And to see any team that can kind of challenge out one of the top 3 or 4 teams in Europe is very unlikely to see at all today.
No, exactly. So tomorrow is when we'll get to see some of those matches, I suppose, for those that are wondering when these teams are actually going to have to face each other. The second part, of course, of this tournament starts the quarterfinals tomorrow, and it's just 4 best of 5s, and the winners of those qualify directly to regionals. And then we're going to have all of our 16 teams sorted here. So let's talk a bit about Wolfpack here on the defensive side. Again, they still persist with this Roadhog. For some reason, they feel that it definitely sort of works in their favor. Defensive Genji as well for Desno here as well. I wonder if they're going to be trying to pressure that backline a little bit more than what they did previously there. Obviously, likely will be the likely target there, being quite squishy on that Zenyatta, but also with plenty of his own defensive capability. So that's how it's going to be. This time, Adatonian is looking like he's actually going to be playing the Winston, and Twitty will be on the Zai here. A little bit of a switch up and roll. Only minor. We'll see how it works.
Yeah, but I think we really like to stress quite a bit is how important having a deep hero pool is for teams, for individual players, because it means, if you're a slightly better Genji than someone else in your team, well, they need to be able to switch to the hero that you were playing before to kind of keep a sort of composition going. So we'll see how OWKings is going to be doing. Olba's still in the McCree, not really probably going to be challenged again. He's off to the side already, getting discorded up, so Roofy kind of a little bit different this time. A lot smarter to deal with him. I think they kind of analyzed and figured out where the problem was, but here's the attack coming through. Antonio jumps in.
Yeah, that's it. We can see how much damage has been put down already at this stage, or we could if there were health bars activated, but I can tell you, looking at the top, Chills does get taken down. It's a Discord order on Zenyatta, not ideal. If you are that man himself now, and quickly Roofy actually managing to defend himself there against Rip, getting very much in his face, but this pressure, if it continues to be applied, should be enough for OWKings to break through here on this point.
Discord order comes through, with Tweety giving the shield to kind of cleanse it, also giving the ability to push through. Get a complete wipe coming back in. And OWKings are keeping this pace on. Adatonian already has his Primal Rage up. Rib about to have Dragon Blade, Olba about to have Deadeye, and Twitty even getting extremely close to his Graviton Surge, which can make this next phase so quick. Yeah,
very straightforward there for Olba as well. It's one shot, a flash, and then a headshot there, easily taking down the other McCree. So not an ideal start here as well. Payload just getting across the line, but Olba just trying to push forward a little bit more as well. He seems to have no problem challenging out any of those other offense heroes, and the air shot is going to be enough for Eru.
The fadeaway shot was phenomenal. The flash ring wasn't even needed. I don't think he caught him with the flash ring. It was just he took the shield down thinking, yeah, I'm safe, I'm good here. I should have back up. The Genji, though, still sticking at Destino, who's going to have Dragon Blade up here. Whether or not he's going to be able to do too much is another question, because likely he has Transcendence. And if you wait for the Dragon Blade to come in, pops Transcendence, you're not going to kill anyone. There's just no chance.
Adatonian there as well, just continue jumping forward as soon as it's off cooldown. Just trying to pick someone out of the back there as well. I'm pretty sure it's a Deadeye for Olba as well now, as he got a lot of kills. Of course, I switched to it just towards the end. That's been unfortunate there, but Eru was not there to defend most of his team from that ultimate, and they paid the ultimate price.
All right, so 2 minutes have gone by, and the next checkpoint going to be captured momentarily here. And PPT Wolfpack have still yet to be able to have a very one-sided attack, one-sided fight. They've been always held back, and always seem to get wiped out one by one. They're only running one tank. I would like to see maybe a Zarya. The Reaper's not that bad of a pick. It's just that when you're feeling like Olba does right now, feeling so in control, it's really hard to stop a person like that.
Yeah, you can tell he's feeling it right now as well. He's more than comfortable pushing ahead of the rest of his team to try and set some of this fights up here. Now, Adatonian is going to get pressured by Eru slightly, and the rest of the team behind that shield is going to force the Monkey Man to give up some of their ground, but Rib able to pick off Eru there as well. Now Adatonian can go back in. He knows the Reaper's in Wraith form. He knows he has a few seconds before that Reaper can actually come back into the fight. And when Chills does, he's immediately picked off. Clown gets himself 2 in that fight.
Adatonian actually had Primal Rage, but he didn't use it. He was taken down by Chills. Maybe he wants to switch. Most likely not. Just like kind of didn't really think about hitting the button at the time. Olba off to the side, playing a very sneaky McCree. It's not really being dealt with too much. And you're going to see maybe the kill come through there yet again. Just one more shot will finish off Vustfi. He will go down. Deadeye was available for him. And now Oba's looking to get away. How is it not being punished is my question for being pushed up that far. Yeah,
the problem is it's almost like a split pusher. If you can deal with any one of your enemy heroes, then you can cause a lot of problems and create a lot of threat on your own there as well. Transcendence helping to keep the rest of the team alive from Rufy, and now Dragonblade being forced out. Elba will eventually have to fall. It's a very powerful ultimate, but the losses already have been counted on the side of Wolfpack, and Desno has to work hard to keep his team in this. The payload still not stopping. Not ideal now for this Genji. You can't block, of course, that Winston direct fire, and it's going to get picked off. That payload will get across the line, and that is done.
3 minutes and 39 seconds. So,
what?
Pretty insane times here out of OWKings. They're really, well, they say 3:42 because of the extra 3 seconds you get from the winning part of it, but either way, that time is damn hard to beat. And finally, when Desno picks up 3 kills with Dragonblade, they still can't hold him. They still can't wipe the rest of the team.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that I think Wolfpack are already down to only 3 by that point, so Desno, all they can really do is even the playing field. Then he gets picked off, and then who else is there? OWKings were able to push through. I think they just had the Winston and the Lucio up on that payload, and that was more than enough, actually, to get it over the line, and the Zarya, of course, in there. So, very strong. Of course, Olba did manage to get, I believe, that 4K with the Deadeye there, which is always really going to break you. He spent a lot of time, actually, inside that building before the payload even got close, trying to set things up, or at least just case the joint and get an idea of who was going to be lying in wait.
Well, the thing is, he flanked around Vustfi before in the building on the towards the second point, got a flashbang, headshot, killed. And then he was just able to completely dominate him time after time after time. It just seemed like no one could deal with Olba in the back line, and at the same rate, no one could deal with anyone in the front line. And OWKings just completely steamrolled that entire game. I don't really see it possible for PPT Wolfpack to actually come back in this one. 3:42. I don't actually reckon seeing the payload stopped once.
No, again, much the same case. There were some fights. I think briefly we did see the payload stop through the last stage there. But when Wolfpack have to commit 2 heroes to even try and shut down Olba, even if they can't kill him, just to try and make him back away, that's a big transaction you make when the rest of your team has to deal with the core of OWKings still coming forward, especially when you've got Twitty, obviously that off-tank who can do so much work, and even Rib, who's very, very threatening in and of himself. You saw that first fight started off on top of Big Earls earlier on there. Rib really was quite instrumental there as well. So, we'll have to see what he can do now again. Again, a defensive Genji is not a terrible thing at all, really, if you want to jump in that back line, if you're confident. And there's plenty of infrastructures to support things like a Genji going deep.
And there's not even a real necessity for them to play 100% serious in the terms of, like, we have to kind of delay as long as we can, because they know the time to beat is just so hard. They're even going to engage right away here just to force PPT Wolfpack to even be more afraid of them coming through. And likely picks up 1, Additonian secures 2, Shields is going to fall, and OWKings are going to take the first fight within the first 20 seconds.
I'm not sure what happened there. I think the jump pack landing damage from Additonian was nasty as heck. I don't think he was able to knock them off the edge from so far on towards the road there, but he instantly pretty much had 2 kills credited to him. So fantastic engagement, and Wolfpack were not ready for that. Chills was waiting up on that upper ledge there, maybe to try and flank around, but he was not ready to see 4 heroes go flying past and wreck the rest of his team. Again, here we go.
Yeah, and they're going to go straight through here. Additonian looking towards the back line. In the meantime, Chills was trying to attack the back line out of OWKings, was able to pick up a kill, I think, on Olba. No, that was Rib, I think, securing 2 for himself. Chills did get down likely, and Olba, but in the end of things, like, they've already had a minute go by. They have 2 minutes and 42 seconds to finish off the entire map, and they're still not even getting this payload even close to the first checkpoint. And Demon here has informed me, by the way, Mitch. Wurstvieh means sausage fairy in German.
Okay. That's just great, Jason.
Just, you know, a little tidbit, little information.
I'm glad you told me that, really. That's, well, unfortunately, it's going to take a bit more than a good name at this stage. Here we go. Graviton Surge comes down. It's going to be followed up with a Deadeye. It's all a bit too easy there. Rib goes in, gets 2. Olba gets the other 2. And as the smoke clears, Wolfpack are nowhere to be seen. Sausage fairy.
I was waiting for something like that. Additonian has Promo Rage, likely going to have Transcendence. They used a lot of offensive ultimates. They used every offensive ultimate in that last fight. But now we're about to hit the 2-minute mark. We're getting to the point where it's almost impossible for PPT Wolfpack to actually push the payload to the end of the amount of time without even being contested. And Chills just hasn't had an opportunity. But now, coming in from behind, he's got Death Blossom. Will he be focused? Why did he shoot so early? He already had it available. He's finally going to be turned on, and he only gets 1.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. He allowed himself to be spotted earlier on. But to be fair, the player should have seen him come around the back from such a, well, quote-unquote obvious angle. But now Wurstvieh, well, I mean, normally Tracer in this case wants to get into the back line. But at this stage, all he can really do is sit around the payload and actually make himself scarce here. The pressure from Olba, this guy doesn't really miss, especially not at that range. And Wurstvieh can't do a heck of a lot about that Peacekeeper thunning in towards his dome.
I think PPT Wolfpack are just throwing everything they have at this. They're just kind of switching on comps if they needed to, switching to the Tracer like we saw. So the McCree Oba able to take down Error on the Winston, just gets flash banged up. He has Deadeye available yet again. And we're passing the mark now of having less than a minute to finish. It's impossible. It's just impossible if you're pushed unhindered to finish the map anymore. And PPT Wolfpack will unfortunately not have a chance to qualify anymore into the Atlantic Showdown at Gamescom on the 20th and 21st.
That's it. They've lost their chances. Unfortunately, going up against a team like this at this stage is pretty tricky. It's only the second round, but OWKings have to beat someone to get towards the end. You saw the ult there from Olba. Obviously, Deadeye also is quite a high-value option when you're trying to deal with highly mobile heroes, such as the Genji and Tracer there as well. You only got Desno picked up with that one, who didn't clearly have a Reflect available, and then was able to finish up the Tracer of Worsfy pretty quickly. So, you know, it's not all about the big Deadeyes. Sometimes you can just make your life a lot easier. It used to be great to use on Pharahs as well for the same reason.
You can see Arrow just trying to make a desperation push, but even with the shield coming down, immediately gets destroyed. Graves not being punished. Grouch Surge will come in, this time on a PPT Wolfpack, but Will picks up a triple kill, and there's no one to punish them in the Graviton Surge. We've now passed 342. There's no chance they can win anymore because the time has expired. And that's going to do it here for our second game of the day. Before we go into our third match, this could be an extremely quick day at this rate here, Mitch.
Yeah, I think it might be, Jason, and that's reasonable. I guess those teams that are left, that's the thing. You know, after week 3, we thought,
oh, we were so close to the play of the game. There's only a couple seconds left.
I didn't want to see it, man. We were, yeah, you know, still with 3 weeks already having been done, there are quite a few teams that we thought maybe should already have qualified and actually haven't quite yet. And then a few teams that have sort of broken up and reformed or amalgamated in different ways throughout the qualification process. So this is now their last chance as well. And I expect them to be, not really taking any risks, not cutting any corners, making sure they get it done right, because this essentially is it for them as well. So there you have it. Overwatch Kings, we told you we'd jump on board with some of the top teams, and they definitely have not disappointed. When we return, we'll continue our journey here with the Finnish Superstars after we return from a break.